Yo, what's up amigos? It's Tello, back to you with another video for today. I know it's been a couple days since we did another video, but we've been, streaming and doing raids and doing a bunch of content at the club, selfish plug, HelloJTello, Twitch TV, you know the damn deal. And send your gold to Tello Ret. I said what I said, good sir, or ma'am, much love to you. Editor, make sure they're all packed up like an egg carton in aisle 7 at ShopRite, respectfully. Much love to you. However, though, in today's video, we have another forum talk with, a lot of people on the forums having many discussions about, nearing the end of Season of Discovery or how alt-friendly, the raid is, and also a little bit of PvP discussion, and then some side talk towards the end of the VOD. But if more and more people do forum posts, I love doing these style of videos as well, discussing things, talking about stuff, and then seeing where we can come to a resolution at the end of everything, right? But besides that, let's talk about this individual's post right here. Now, for Rosecaster, they said that nearing the end of our willpower to raid Scarlet Enclave 20 ban. Our 20 group has been together since day one of SOD. We have had a good mix of 70 to 99% parsers, which is actually pretty damn good. And we started as two 10-mans and combined it to one 20-man. We've been doing all the content in the game in a good amount of time as a 20-man all this time. We spent the last 2 weeks completely stuck on 5 out of 8. This week alone, we blew through over 20k in gold in greater holy protection potions just to get to the enrage consistently. But morale is at an all-time low, and most of us just don't want to play anymore. And we've come to terms, very few of us will get a 6 set. And even if we do, SOD will be over before we get to enjoy our 6 sets. We're starting to run low on guild funds. Since the phase started, we spent over 40 to 50k gold in gold costs in the last 3 weeks alone. I personally still have not seen a single drop other than one free tier piece I've got from Chalice, which I am holding on to see what other tier I get first before turn-in. We're going to give this raid 1 to 2 more weeks, and if we haven't seen 20-man tuning by the time, we're just going to call it. If some of you have fun, that's great, and all power to you, but this has been draining experience in every way possible. We love SOD, we've had a blast, and we made tons of memories, and even Nax Hardmore 4 was awesome. It's sad for it to end on a bad note like this, but it was a good run. If players enjoyed the difficulty, all power to you, but from our perspective, this has not been enjoyable. I don't hate the raid, but it's very, feels frustrating is what they're saying from a 20-man perspective. And it's got 20 likes and a lot of people making comments on this post and over 672 views. I mean, honestly, listen, let me just say this. I don't disagree with this person whatsoever. You have to understand, and this is what I was talking about from my video when I was doing the gold video the other day, and I saw a lot of comments, up and down saying, well, you're bringing, over 800 gold and consumes. That's just way too much. That's crazy. There's no way, consumes cost that much, and you're going through those wipes. A lot of people are going through more of those wipes than you guys think, and don't get me wrong, just because you're not bringing the consumes and your raid lead is the one bringing most of the stuff for you, doesn't mean that individual's not going through a lot of money themselves as well. These feasts don't cost cheap, by the way. They are raising in their prices, and if you're just going for the speckling feast, you're trying to go for the more cheaper version, people are still going to try to cut you on those prices as well and raise them too. That's not talking about greater holy protections. That's not talking about all the consumables around the world that Azeroth has to offer at your expense, so you can try to get through this raid efficiently. And this is like from a vast majority of things where I feel like people just don't have to understand that, or they don't understand that the raid is costly, and it is a very costly phase. Like, here's an example. I had 6,000 gold a day and a half ago, and even my Twitch chat, they can vouch for this. I had 6,000 gold on my character. I spent close to 1,200 to 1,400 gold in 2 days going through multiple wipes on Calderan with a 30-man, because we don't have a full 40-man and we don't have a 20-man. But on the 30-man, we went through a lot of wipes, a lot of learning, a lot of testing, trying different things out, and I went through like 2 stacks of 38 honey badgers and also mage lords. That's on counting the chilies that I used as well. I didn't even want to use holy pots, because holy pots cost around 10 to 15 gold a pop, depending on, the day you catch it. So it's an expensive raid, and for people to say, oh, it's not an expensive raid, brother, it's pretty cheap, I just bring, a giant and mongoose and call it a day and a night, you're absolutely wrong. And I'm sorry to say that. I don't want to be disrespectful, but you're absolutely wrong. You're either doing 5 out of 8s or 4 out of 8s, or you're not progressing at all. And I have to just say that, like, just straight up, we have to be honest. call the elephant in the room and just say what it is, because sometimes people say some bullshit just to speak out their ass. Much love to you. I understand where this person is getting at. And, honestly, one of the biggest things that I see too is that a lot of people are really dependent on getting that two-piece. That two-piece for some people is like a 1,000 or 1,200 DPS increase. For some others, it could be like a 600 to 800 DPS increase. Regardless, more people need those tiers, and I see this complaint a lot, that a lot of people are just upset that they're just not seeing as much tier drop, and they're seeing all these other trash filler pieces drop. That is just not good for them, and they really want to see more tier than anything. I personally think my number one complaint of the Scarlet Enclave is that filler loot needs to be tweaked in different areas to make it more wannable or acquirable, or having different set properties to make it, change up the variation of playstyle for the individual spec or player on how they choose to, play their class. So it can give more options and alternative routes for building your character as a whole than just going just for tier piece. And that's how you make filler loot more acquirable or more wannable at that point. But to each his own. I'm not sure if they'll ever do that, but I understand his perspective as well, or her perspective as a 20-man struggling, because it ain't easy. For 20-mans, that is tough. You are challenging yourself, and it's not probably really tuned for just 20-man, but people are doing it at a very low number. And I give the credit to anybody who's in a 20-man that is trying to push it and, get the Calderon kill and, continue to progress with your raid. But it does cost a lot of money for them, and let's not act it is cheap whatsoever, and either cheap for anybody above 20-man as well. And I understand, they are even saying, if you're having fun, have fun, but by all means, don't discredit the fact that people are, struggling to get the tier that they need. And meanwhile, whether it's a 20-man, 30-man, or 40-man, depending on what you're running with, some people don't even have a lot of pieces at all. If they're only if they're doing their weeklies, right? They're probably only getting their pieces through their weeklies and not getting anything in raid, and going through a whole raid night 4 or 5 hours, 6 hours deep, and not getting one drop for some people. That's a bit of a bummer. We have to come to understanding of that. I'm currently right now on my almost about to get my 3rd piece because of the weekly, but I've gotten 2 pieces from Scarlet Enclave. I'm very fortunate to get 2 pieces, and I'm about to get the 3rd, right, from the weekly, and then hopefully maybe next week maybe get a 4th. But even a 4 piece for me as a paladin is not really great until we get 6 piece, because that's when you really consume the holy power stuff. At the end of the day, a lot of other classes really need their tier pieces, and I do think loot scarcity has been an issue. I know Jerome's talked about this as well. Maybe they'll do something about the tier tokens or how much tier does drop per boss. On to the next topic though, from Wolfie. Scarlet Enclave alts and the will to play. So it seems like their issue here is what they're saying is, my issue is the raid this raid is still dead to alts and a pug. And in Naxxramas, I could log into an alt, smash hard mode 1 with some randos under 2 hours and do it again. Kept me playing the game after our main raid because I can casually raid. And I came into Nax with, 3-piece invasion gear, and it was perfectly viable, which is really cool. And Scarlet Enclave, my main still barely has gotten anything. 1 off piece, 0 tier, and I haven't been in any of my alts since they are relatively under geared DPS. Runs are still close to 3 hours, 0 desire to go sit through an AQ40, which are dead anyway. Basically just raid logging into my main at this point. Saw was fun, but I think this phase killed it for me. And I can understand this, because this has to really do with the other, the correlation of the other posts as well, where, honestly, it's not really a super alt-friendly phase right now. Before this phase, I would say, yeah, it's 100% alt-friendly. You go into Nax, you do some hard mode 1s, get some more gear, you just blast through it, then prep yourself for hard mode 2 or 3 or 4, etc. You can do any alt you want before this phase, but with this phase in particular, and especially with the prices that went up with this phase, the economy changed from last phase to this phase, and things vary, right? And it's not really friendly for alts anymore, especially with the loot scarcity that we discussed, and people just don't want to sit through that Scarlet Enclave for all those hours to get nothing, and then blasting through all your gold to get nothing. This is also why I said in the last video as well that I think when people spend all this gold and they continue realizing that they have to spend hours upon hours a week just to progress or feel any sort of acquisition of gear to feel happy about, they're going to get motivated to want to get gold in other areas. And I'm sorry to bring that up, but it's just the facts. People are going to swipe, man. It's just the truth, whether it's the end of SOD or not. Believe me, people will swipe more than even after this goes into era. It's just the truth, and that's the facts, because at the end of the day, people want to just play the game. They don't want to have to keep farming hours upon hours a week to spend hours upon hours in a raid to get hours upon hours of nothing. And that's what I'm getting at. And it's unfortunate that that is the case. I really do think if they tweaked Scarlet Enclave to drop more loot pieces, this would make other people just a little bit more satisfied and feel like, okay, maybe this is a little bit more alt-friendly, and I can bring my alts and we can get more gear for our other characters and continue playing Season of Discovery with some satisfaction. It seems to be the common trend at this point. Even from this forum post to the other forum posts, there's a similarity here, and it's just people want to play Scarlet Enclave and they want to enjoy the raid, but they feel like they're being held back from the tuning of the raid and also the drops of the raid. And that seems to be the common theme going around lately for Season of Discovery raiders, is that plain and simple, they're just tired. I think players are tired, and it's okay to admit that. Like, we have to understand that after a while, you know, there comes to a point where we just have to say, you know what, it is what it is, and you know, we know it sucks, but enough's enough, man. Like, we just have to call this stuff out and just be vocal about it and tell the truth, whether it's an elephant in the room situation or not. We want to see better tuning and more loot drops from this raid, and we can continue, you know, progressing each week, not feeling like we have to blow thousands upon thousands of gold. Whether it's, the guildies doing it or your raid leaders doing it, a lot of people are spending gold, and it's hurting. It's hurting the raid scene. I will say that. I genuinely think it is hurting the raid scene. And, you know, eventually when, you know, Mr. Pandaria comes out and more people switch to Anniversary or other versions, SOD will lose a lot of numbers because of any issues with this raid particularly happening still, if it continues to happen. So that's pretty much it for this post right here. So let's read this here. So, is PvP dead? This is from Akatosh. Blood Moon is literally vacant and dead. I remember the early hype of SOD when Blood Moon was the current, and it was insane, and it really was good. And back then, especially when like all the creators were playing, Savix was there, Zarya was there, like it was lit. It was really cool. Why did they recycle this so much? They didn't even have to do much but throw together a fairly basic event or activity for PvP. Who would have enjoyed an arena that has no rewards, just to, you know, something to mess around, what he's basically saying, since EPL has guards that one-shot you almost every time you run to PvP, and that's absolutely true. If you run away from the guards at Scarlet Enclave and you're in PvP and you actually trigger them, even if you go to Light Hope Chapel, you'll get teleported and they'll just one-shot you. So it's kind of crazy. But yeah, regardless of that, I agree. You know, I've been vouching for PvP support for a very, very long time. I used to vouch for PvP support back in the very, very early phases of Ashen Veil and Stranglethorn Veil, with the Blood Moon event, and talking about things where we can, you know, better PvP for everybody, you know, have better systems in place. I was really upset. I remember even then when they decided to copy the Blood Moon idea into another phase, and that was just it, and they updated the vendors. I wish they did something a little bit more different with variation, whether it was a King of a Hill, a Domination, etc., and take ideas from other games that made PvP pop in, whether it was, you know, different role-playing games or MMOs or shooters. Just take the concept of the game mode and put it in World of Warcraft. And unfortunately, we never got anything like that, and it sucks. It really is a bummer. And right now, at the current moment, it does feel like the PvP community is running around with like a chicken with their head off, and they're just, you know, knocking into whatever they can find, you know, especially if they're at New Avalon and they're just trying to gank people just to gank. That there's really not much PvP going on besides that one or two battlegrounds every now or then, and it's pretty sad. I'm not gonna lie, because really, you know, PvP is one of the backbones of what really carries World of Warcraft, and I really feel like it was severely lacklustered come to the end of Season of Discovery, where in the very beginning it felt like there was hope, you know, but at the moment right now it does feel pretty dead, and I'm not sure if they're gonna do something, if they're gonna put some type of, you know, 8-point plus whatever update. I'm sure they're not gonna do another raid, but we'll see. You never know. Agron does surprise us sometimes, and you know, we'll go from there. But I do think to hang on to this hope or copium is something that I'm not trying to do anymore, because I've realized at this point that, you know, there are other versions of WoW that are coming out. People are gonna want to play Mr. Pandaria, where I heard PvP was excellent over there and the arena was really fun, and people are going to want to go into TBC, which was obviously, in my opinion, one of my favorite moments of PvP ever, because it was actually, you know, PvP gearing, there was an arena system there, and people had comps and teams. So I personally am looking more forward to that than seeing what Season of Discovery has to do at this time, because I just don't think anything is going to happen. And I don't mean to be the bearer of bad news when it comes to that, but we have to be realistic with ourselves at this point. You know, it is like the end of SOD, and we are, you know, going to be playing this game more than likely for another month and a half, maybe 2. But we'll see what happens at that point. If they surprise us with a PvP update, amigos, I will be in there and I will be playing. I don't care if I get my ass kicked. I will be playing and I will be having fun. But if they don't do anything, what are you guys going to do? Like, I'm genuinely asking you guys right now. Are you going to be moving to other versions of World of Warcraft to do PvP? Are you going to still be playing SOD at that time and there's really not much to show your skills for? What are you going to do? Like, you have to make a choice is what I'm basically saying. And that choice is either stick with SOD and see where it goes and pray for an update, or try other versions of World of Warcraft and then hopefully show your skills there and just move on. Because that's probably more than likely what I'm going to do, because I just don't see a future where SOD PvP is like this lit form of entertainment after a certain point. It's just the facts, and it sucks. It's very unfortunate, and I wish I can be a part of that, but if there's no updates, it's just better to do stuff elsewhere. That's just my opinion. So in the final topic, I just want to talk about our rating experience so far. Currently, at the moment, our guild, we are still 7 out of 8 for the Scarlet Enclave. We haven't got the 8 out of 8 yet. We are trying very hard to get that 8 out of 8 and also get more people, more pieces of gear so we can do more damage to clear these bosses faster. But I really do believe in our guild, and I believe we can get through it. This Calderan fight is tough. I'm not going to lie. It's one of those fights that are really hard, and we're currently stuck 7 out of 8 at this moment as of this week. But I truly believe we can get this under our belt. And my advice to anybody else that is, you know, feeling demoralized or still struggling, I would recommend my best tip to you guys at this time is try to just even aim for those 6 and 7 out of 8s so you can keep getting those Crusader chalices, so you can keep getting those more tier bonuses and just more loot drops in general, so it can keep getting you guys more geared through the week so you can eventually kill Calderan, because Calderan is a tough fight and people really need to pay attention to the mechanics, including myself. There was one time where I accidentally dropped the fire, you know, in the middle. It was totally my fault. But I really believe that if you just keep getting the loot drops, and hopefully at some point, you never know, if the team decides to add more teardrops to the raid, then it can motivate more people to want to get that 8 out of 8 under their belt, and finally, you know, they could say that we got Scarlet Enclave actually cleared and it was successful, and then we have this on, you know, rotation, we have this on training wheels, we get it, and we can clear the raid each and every week. So I really do hope the best for you guys to keep grinding Scarlet Enclave. And to be honest with you, I love the raid, and I do hear people, and I'm going to continue, you know, seeing these posts and, you know, voicing it out and seeing how people feel and talking about it to see if maybe the team will consider some things. But that's really all I can do for you as a, you know, content creator to help you guys out and also make it vocally aware of the situation. So, amigos, much love to you. You know the deal. Thank you for, you know, coming and support your boy. I might also do some anniversary leveling today. Supposedly people want me to do some anniversary, so I'm considering doing a orc, maybe a rogue or a mage. We'll see what happens. Maybe undead mage or orc rogue on the horde. We might do some anniversary leveling just for fun, you know, and have a little good time over there and go from there, amigos. So much love to you. Keep on keeping on, all that good stuff, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Editor, my water bottle. Hydration. Stay hydrated, stay stimulated, stay selected, fully erected. Cut the video.